Hey YouTube, MJ here with another video review. This time we're going to be looking at the Takara Masterpiece 15 Rumble and Jaguar set. For us in the US, that's going to be Rumble and Ravage, or Frenzy and Ravage, depending on if you go with the Rumble is red or Rumble is blue scenario. As you can see, it's the typical Masterpiece box. Nice hard cardboard box. All Japanese writing. Shows the figures and what they're all included, and some of the gimmicks on the back. It's just much smaller. So you can see it's about a hand size. And they could have actually packaged it even smaller had they done the tray a little differently. Inside the box, you're going to get a tray like this. There'll be 2 free-floating guns inside a little baggie, as well, or in the instruction baggie. The cassettes in each one of these compartments, and then the cases for the cassettes here. Like I said, they could have saved room by just putting the cassettes in the cases, and it actually probably would have been better for the cassettes. And then we have the pile drivers. And then in addition to that, you'll get the tech spec card and a nice fold-out instruction manual, which is actually a full-color instruction manual showing Ravage, his story, tech specs, same with Rumble, the cassette features, the little handguns and how they can connect, pile drivers and how they work, and then the transformation and other gimmicks. So we'll get on into the actual review. We're going to start off by bringing in Masterpiece Soundwave. And I'm going to do this because I'm going to go over some of the gimmicks with Soundwave that I really didn't cover because they really weren't important back at that point, as well as showing off the actual multi-disc method. So first thing we'll do is we'll look at the pile drivers. They come separately, and then they have a little combining piece to hold them together. What you're going to want to do is, if you look at the underside of Soundwave's arm, he's got a little square with an upward arrow notched into the arm. What you're going to do is take the cavity here, and then that'll push up into there. It's supposed to click in. Mine's very loose. I'm not sure if this is going to be the same with everyone's or if it's just mine. Hard to say. Either way, the feature is a stretch. Basically, it lets Soundwave hold and have use of the pile drivers. So that way, if you have them in cassette mode and Soundwave in robot mode or whatever, they're not just free floating. So it's nice that they tried. The next feature is the multi-cassette thing. And I will say, when I have 3 cassettes in it, it does not like to eject the first cassette. So you just close it up, push the button on the back, and then that'll load the next cassette. And again, doesn't want to launch Ravage either. And no, just Laserbeak. I liked the feature before. I'm not sure why it has trouble loading or ejecting the cassettes when the other ones are behind it. It's a minor feature, it's a minor nitpick. It's just something that's kind of odd to me. So we'll set the 2 cassettes aside for now and just finish off with the Soundwave features, just so that way we don't need to really deal with him in the rest of the review. Coming down to Soundwave's feet. It's got those nice die-cast feet. If you grab your finger there, there's going to be a little door panel. It doesn't come out that far, but inside you can see there's a little channel there. And what you're going to do, for when you have him in cassette mode, we'll wiggle this out, open it up, and pull out one of, hopefully I'm grabbing the right one, Rumble's guns. And this should work. Then you just take the gun, slide it in, and it goes into that, the blade part goes into the channel inside the feet, and then you can just close it up. I actually did not line that up well. Oh, I grabbed the wrong gun, that's why. But it'll just fit in there nice and snug. And you have a place to store the guns, again, when he's inside Soundwave's chest. It's nice that they were trying for storage. I find it to be more of a hindrance than an actual nice feature. Come on out. And I also have a fear of it, because this is very fragile plastic. And I'll get into some of the plastic issues I have a little later. And that's it that Soundwave can really feature in robot mode. He's got one more gimmick that I will show off. Actually, I'll bring Soundwave back. Actually, I can show it off now. In cassette mode, you have this little notch in the side of this cassette player mode. Again, I think this is a stretch. What you do, you combine the pile drivers. This is basically going to be making a little battery pack. You take the sensor for Soundwave, plug that into the top of there, and then that'll just plug in to that little notch. And basically what it's doing is charging Soundwave, is from what I can gather. Again, it's a gimmick that's there, but I don't think many people will ever really use it. And sadly, I don't think the actual cassette modes for Soundwave will get used all that often. So, we'll get Soundwave out of the way, and we'll start off into the cassettes, because that's what everybody's watching this for. We're going to start off with Rumble. And I will say, I very much like his cassette mode. Nice, simple box. Looks very smooth together in both directions. Has silver, blue, and red, and then black on the opposite side. Now we'll transform him. Start off, grab right in the center, pull down, and that's going to extend the abdomen section as well as unplug the feet from the upper body. From there, just rotate down the legs, and there is a massive amount of joints in here, so what you're going to want to do is just accordion and straighten out all of them. Now you have one directly in the knee, one above the knee, you have again, one below the hip, and then you have a ball joint at the hip. So in that little area, you have a total of 4 joints. And then flip out the feet. Do the same thing on the other side. Accordion out and straighten out all of the joints. And flip out the feet. Come around to the top. And I start off by doing this because sometimes I have trouble with it, sometimes I don't. You flip out the hands. If you have a nail, you're going to be better off here because you can catch it better with the nail. There we go. Flip out the little hands, which actually I will say the hands are very well detailed. Got a groove for each finger, nice thumb, and then simply pull, extend out, and lock into place. It's a ball joint at the shoulder, and then just a rotation at the pec area. Come around behind, hook your nail, and then just flip out the head. Rotate the head around, and there you have Rumble in robot mode. I will say I'm very impressed with him. Articulation on this guy, you have 360-degree rotation at the head because of transformation. You have a little bit of an upward look, which is actually going to come in very handy. It's a very important joint here. As I said, because of transformation, you have that rotation at the pec area, ball jointed shoulders, so you can get a little outward 90 degrees away from the body, 360-degree rotation, 90-degree elbow bend. I do have, see how well this is going to show up, some stress marking already on that shoulder, or that elbow. And then you have a little bit of wrist because of that. Make sure to keep extending the abdomen because at least on mine it's a little loose. You have a ball joint at the hip to go forward, back, outward 90 degrees, inward about 15-ish. Then 90-degree rotation forward, 90-degree rotation forward at the knee, and then the same thing at the back. You can even get a little more because of that double jointed knee. So you have a full range of motion there. This guy can do about every pose with his legs you could want. And then ball jointed feet. All in all, I must say he's a very impressive figure. The jointing on this guy, considering his size is about Legends, is more impressive than a lot of deluxes, which you're paying for with the price point. And for a quick size comparison, we'll bring out Generation 1. So you can see mine has kind of a droopy head, but they're... extend the abdomen again. With the abdomen extension, he's about a full head taller than his original Generation 1 counterpart. A lot more elegant, but still has the same pretty much color pattern. Get him out of the way. Bring in the pile drivers. Now, pile driver wise, we'll get into the features, gimmicks we have with him. First one, if you leave it like this, he will allow for the pile drivers just to plug in his back. And basically just gives him a giant backpack. It's extremely back heavy. It's there. But yeah, it's nice to have the option. We'll slide out the pile drivers from the binding mechanism. And then, this is even shown in the instructions, you can take that, plug it into his back, and give him a fanny pack. It basically just gives Rumble a giant butt, but again, it's trying to provide for storage. Come on out. I really hope this doesn't snap. Alright, so I guess that's going to stay on for the rest of at least for a little while. There we go. Now, there, as you can see, there's a storage spot in the pile drivers for the guns, along with the feet one. Actually, I think I prefer this one over the feet. It's just easier to get at the guns when you need them. And then you just open up the top half of the pile drivers and slide out the guns. Close the pile driver up and set it aside. Now with the guns, you have two ways you can display them. First one is how it comes in package. You'll have a larger knob coming out the back of the gun, and this one is set up so it fits into the cassette spindles, which will give you the traditional over-the-back look. The next option, you just come around, you flip the larger handle down, and that'll give you a nice small handle, which fits into his hand. I'm not totally sure why they didn't just make them the same size, but it works out okay. And there you have his handheld gun. Again, a nice little accessory. Looks good with him holding it. Flip that back over. Plug them both in the back. And we'll show the weapon for Rumble that everybody really cares about. So you're going to do, take the arms, rotating them out 90 degrees, then rotating them forward 90 degrees, fold them up, and bend in the hands. You can do the same thing on the other side. Grab your pile driver, and that just plugs over. And do the same thing on the other side. Then what you can do, grab and pull, and that'll give you your extension. And figure out your own particular pose with how you want him banging on the ground. either way. And there's where that head joint comes into play that I mentioned earlier, where you can have him pounding on the ground as needed. I personally have opted, I usually leave him with the pile drivers, and then Frenzy just standing alone with the guns, but it's going to be your personal preference. So we'll get those out of the way. Get him out of the way, for at least for now. And move on to my favorite of the cassettes. But I will also say it's the one to be most cautious with. And I'll get into why here in a second. So you can see Ravage is, or Jaguar in this case, a black cassette. Silver detailing, come around. He's got the most open space inside of him, but the toy has more than made up for that in my eyes, so I'm not going to nitpick on that one too much, but if you're one person who likes flow in either way, you might not like it. So for transformation for him, come on down to this side, reach your nail in, pull out, and rotate out the tail. Come around to the front. Now, I missed this the first time because I never look at the instructions when I first get a toy because I want to try it. But if you reach your nail inside this little channel up here, there's going to be a little hinge section. You're going to want to flip forward. Now after that's flipped forward, grab the entire side of the bottom of the cassette. You're going to pull them together, and that is going to give you Ravage's head. And that little piece at the front that I mentioned actually creates a nose. So the mold has a solid nose, separate piece, so that way it actually looks like the nose outjets, just like an actual cat. Which I like that feature. From there, grab the little gray section, pull up. That's going to unpin the legs, and then just rotate it forward. Do the same thing on the other side. Rotate them forward. Take the entire back section and pinch it together. If you come around here, you're going to see that the legs channel out. So just right at that stripe, you're going to pull out, and that's where your feet are going to be. Then rotate them down. Position the legs how you so desire them. And these guys are nice, are very tight joints. And I'm not actually going to use the word nice right now, and I'll explain why in a second. Straighten out the tail. Now be very careful here, because this Ravage has been replaced a few times already. What you're going to want to do is grab this section, and this is going to be bringing up the torso. Just make sure to support this section, because this little beam on one of my first Ravage broke. So, and then once you have that rotated about 45 degrees, bend down the head. That's going to give him the cat arc kind of shoulder blade feel. And then again, you're going to want to rotate the legs into the position that you feel most comfortable with them. Again, all of these joints are very, very tight. And because he is such a small figure, that very tight joint scares me a lot, especially after, like I said, I had the breakage in the center body. So there is Ravage in cat mode. Like I said, he is my... Yes, I'm the most afraid of him breaking. However, he is my favorite of the cassettes, without question. They were able to integrate in the shoulder packs to the transformation. His jointing is amazing. You have 90 degrees at the neck, ball joint at the front shoulder, bicep swivel, elbow bend of 180 degrees, and then 180 degree paw in the front. You have that center joint. Again, be very careful with that. I'm not sure if maybe the one that I had just had other one just had a plastic defect that broke. But just something to be cautious of. And then in the back, he has a rotation behind the thruster. In and out at the thruster for transformation and posability. Bend just below the thruster. Bend just below that. And hinge at the pause. And then the tail. That's a lot of articulation in a very, very, very small cassette. And I'm going to say very small because I'll bring in, here's Generation 1 Ravage. Here's Masterpiece Ravage. In alt mode, they're the exact same size. However, he is tiny compared to his counterpart. He's also a lot wider, so it makes up for it in width. But it's definitely a very impressive figure. The articulation, just be cautious with him. If you're watching this, you know that San Diego Comic-Con, or the New York Toy Fair, sorry, announced that the US will be getting Soundwave, along with all 5 cassettes, which I did actually mention in my previous review that I had heard that it was coming, so I'm really glad that came true. So my suggestion, wait for that release, get them all in one lump sum. Don't spend the $60 for the first cassette set, $190 for Soundwave, $60 for the second cassette set. So we'll bring in Soundwave for comparison with his minions. Have Rumble standing straight up so you really get the full effect of his height. And there you have Masterpiece 15 with their master. As I said, you definitely want these molds, without question. As soon as they're coming out at Toys R Us in the fall, I believe, pick them, go hunting, hunt for these. If you watch this, you knew I wasn't a huge fan of my channel. You know I wasn't a huge fan of Soundwave. I love the toy, but there was a few nitpicks I had with the legs. I'm still going to try to get another one just for the sole principle of getting another full set of cassettes and then Soundwave, because I want to do an actual shattered glass custom with these. So you will see that on the channel as soon as they come out in the fall. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I will see you very soon with another set of cassettes or some third-party stuff. We'll see. Have a good day.